da şiddet tutkunu değiliz.
Biz de zindanla da korkutamazsın.
Your country is in big trouble.
Teslim olmanın sınırı yok.
Marking Kurdish Language Day on the 15th of May, leading political and civil society organisations have renewed calls for Kurdish to be recognised as an official and educational language in Turkey, framing it as a necessary step in the country's new peace process. US President Trump's high-stakes Middle East tour has reshaped regional alliances, with landmark arms and aviation deals in Saudi Arabia, Syria, Qatar and Turkey, redefining US power and pressuring Kurdish autonomy in post-Assad Syria. Slovenian philosopher Slavoj Žižek voices strong support for Abdullah Öcalan's peace appeal and the PKK's decision to disband. And a new investigation has revealed the devastating scale of oil pollution in north and east Syria, Rojava, where residents are facing toxic air, poisoned rivers, and an alarming rise in cancer cases. Marking Kurdish Language Day on the 15th of May, political parties and civil society groups in Turkey have renewed calls for Kurdish to be recognized as both an official and educational language. Describing it as a necessary step toward lasting peace, the Democratic Regions Party, the Dem Party, the Human Rights Association, and the Kurdistan National Congress issued strong statements condemning the systematic marginalization of Kurdish. The DBP argued that state policies have deliberately excluded Kurdish from education and public life for over a century, calling this a clear continuation of state-led linguistic suppression. They emphasized that safeguarding the Kurdish language is central not only to cultural preservation, but to the survival of democracy itself. The Dem Party's Language Commission echoed this sentiment, saying authoritarian models have long enforced monolingualism, yet the Kurdish community has persistently resisted, keeping the language alive through decades of pressure. The Human Rights Association underscored that denying people the right to speak their mother tongue constitutes a fundamental human rights violation. They paid tribute to Vedat Aydin, a Kurdish activist who was killed for using the language publicly, pledging to continue the fight for linguistic freedom. The Kurdistan National Congress described Kurdish as the soul and memory of the Kurdish people, urging international support for efforts to protect and promote it. With peace talks reportedly on the horizon, campaigners insist any political resolution must include formal recognition of Kurdish in schools and state institutions. President Trump's latest Middle East tour is reshaping regional power dynamics, with multi-billion-dollar deals struck in Qatar and a major missile sale to Turkey. In Doha, the president secured a record-breaking $96 billion agreement for up to 210 Boeing aircraft with Qatar Airways, the largest wide-body order in U.S. aviation history. Alongside this, over $10 billion in defense contracts were signed, including for drones and surveillance systems. The Qatari government also presented Trump with a luxury aircraft, drawing criticism across Washington. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department approved a $300 million missile sale to Turkey, enhancing NATO's air defenses despite ongoing concerns over Ankara's human rights record and its past tensions with Sweden's NATO membership. Earlier this week, Trump lifted economic sanctions on Syria after a historic meeting with interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa, urging Damascus to reclaim control of Kurdish-run ISIS detention camps, a move that could undercut Kurdish hopes for autonomy in a post-Assad era. In Saudi Arabia, Trump finalized a $142 million arms deal and secured economic investment pledges from the Crown Prince, while encouraging both Riyadh and Damascus to normalize relations with Israel under the Abraham Accords. Meanwhile, in ongoing nuclear negotiations with Iran, Trump claimed a deal was very close, though warned of consequences should Tehran fail to comply. Slavoj Žižek, the noted Slovenian philosopher renowned for his work in Marxist theory and psychoanalysis, has expressed full support for jailed Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan's call for peace and democratic society, and the Kurdistan Workers' Party's, or PKK's, subsequent decision to dissolve itself following its 12th Congress. In a video shared by the Pro-Kurdish People's Equality and Democracy, or DM Party, Žižek praised the move as a bold step towards peace and urged international discussion on the Kurdish question, calling it emblematic of wider struggles across the Middle East.
I must say I fully support the decision of PKK, which followed the advice of Öcalan, their imprisoned leader, and decided to dissolve itself, to cease to exist. They went to the very edge of proving by.
A new investigation has revealed the devastating scale of oil pollution in north and east Syria, Rojava, where residents are facing toxic air, poisoned rivers, and an alarming rise in cancer cases. Published by Reporter, the report by journalist Filipe Perno details how Turkish airstrikes on oil refineries, years of war, and crumbling infrastructure have left parts of the region uninhabitable. In Gear Zero, a nurse described the air as unbreathable, with cancer rates as high as 1 in 10 people. The so-called River of Death now carries untreated wastewater and petroleum. Rojava's economy relies on oil, but under Assad, ISIS, and now the autonomous administration, safe refining practices were neglected. Bombings have caused catastrophic spills, like at Uda refinery, where 35,000 barrels poisoned the land. Farmers report nothing grows. Officials accuse Turkey of deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure, from power plants to bakeries. One strike in 2023 caused nearly $1 billion in damage and plunged the region into darkness. Despite grassroots efforts like a women-led greenhouse project, locals say reversing the damage will take international attention and action. For now, Rojava's struggle is not only political, but environmental and existential.
Medya News Daily Review.
Biz burada şiddet tutkunu değiliz. Biz de zindanla da korkutamazsın.
Your country is in big trouble.
Teslim olmanın sınırı yok.